And Joe DioGuardi, I want to thank you very much for being with us today. It's
Thank you,
a pleasure
Liz,
to
once
see you again.
Nice to be here.
So I just want to talk to you a little bit off the beaten path before we get to your campaign about Charlie Rangel. We saw this amazing thing today of him coming to the floor of the House and defending himself in this very long monologue and basically daring his colleagues to go ahead and try and expel him and talking about how he feels like he's being mistreated. You served with him. What's your feeling about what's happening with Charlie Rangel?
I know him well. We served on the Select Committee for Narcotics together. You know, it's sad. He is 80. Obviously, he served well in the armed forces. He's an icon to many people. And I hate to see people's careers come down to this. But when you have 13 allegations, and many of them have played out in the press many times, so it's hard to believe that at least some of them are not true, you would think that somebody would have admitted that there has been some oversights, maybe some sloppiness or something, and say, hey, I'm sorry. But it looks like he wants to completely exonerate himself. It reminds me of what Jim Trafficant did 10 years ago, and it was like a circus, a joke, and I hope it doesn't come down to that. What's the issue? And I said it in my press release last week. It's not Charlie Rangel. It's the process. The last thing I did before leaving the Congress in 1988 was to put a bill in, and I had a Democrat sponsor at a time when Jim Wright was under ethics attack, and a bill to bring an independent ethics oversight board to do the investigation.
Not members of Congress sitting judgment on each other, you mean,
And what I said at that press conference in August of 1988 was, you can't have a collegial body. We have lunch together in the cloakroom, and then the next day you want to be judge and jury on these people. Even if you think it works, the public doesn't think it works.
So if you were in the House, would you vote to expel him at this point? Because, you know, he says that Republicans rejected a deal. He was willing to make a deal, he says, and that Republicans didn't want to do a deal because they want to stretch this out. Do you think that's fair, if in fact it's true?
I don't know about that. I'd have to take your word for it. I think expulsion is very harsh. They'd have to really show that he deliberately violated these rules. And maybe there's a witness on his staff. I don't know. But it seems to me to bring the House down to this level at this point when we have so many problems in America is ridiculous. And I think he is kind of playing a game of chicken here, thinking that many of the members have done the same thing, and he's thinking that maybe they'll have second thoughts of him going on trial and saying something like that.
Well, now there's two. I mean, look at Maxine Waters.
Yeah,
I mean, there's two of them.
Listen, Liz, the process is not working. This thing should never have come this far, and it should never have taken this long. If we had an independent group, it would have been aired out a long time ago, and there would have been some recommendations made public. Now, you probably know that the Constitution requires that only Congress reprimand congressmen. So what I said was separate the investigation part of it, but Congress nevertheless has to be the one to judge its peers. But this process should be much more transparent.
Do you think that he should resign?
Well, I think at this point, frankly, with 13 allegations, some of which, maybe many of which, have to be true, it seems to me that that would be the graceful way out, saying that I've served 40 years, I love my country, I'm going to go for election. In fact, he's going to probably go back to the public that put him in there.
So resign
and maybe run
again. Is that what you mean? He could resign and just run?
He could do that. I don't know that there's any prohibition.
There's not. I don't
and I think he feels that no matter what happens, he'll be reelected. Now, obviously, that begs the question of term limits, which I'm for. And I've already said I'm running for a 2-year term to fill Hillary Rodham Clinton's seat. And then I said I will take that 1 2-year term and 1 6-year term, because I believe term limits should be no more than 12 years, whether it's 6. I wish they would make the House seats 4 years. That would be 3 4 years. But let's say 6 2 years and 1 2 and 1 6. This is the problem. When you have people serving this long, there's a sense of detachment. I think they begin to forget the reasons why they're there. And all of a sudden, this Potomac fever, I try to stay away from that Potomac fever. I came back.
But you want to come back. I mean, how many years did you serve in Congress?
I served in Congress 4 years, 2 terms.
So you've rid yourself of Potomac fever then?
Well, I never
you
got
left
it.
and got cured,
Well,
and now
I'm
you want to
lucky.
go back?
I don't live in California, so what I did is I came back. I had a young family at the time, Karen, John, but I came back on Tuesdays. I went there on Tuesdays to Thursdays. If there was a vote on Monday, I would adjust my schedule. Same with Friday. So I was usually back in my district Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It's tough to get anything, especially Potomac fever, when you're going back and forth. But I see this kind of arrogance or detachment in many of the members that serve over 20 years. It's not right. 12 is enough.
Your opponent, or the person that you're trying, you actually have two primary opponents, but the person that you're ultimately targeting is Kirsten Gillibrand. She is
And
a
I'm the only
Democratic
one that can
senator.
beat her, because I'm on the conservative line, and I will win this primary.
Well, the polls have shown you ahead, although not very many people are paying attention yet. And
Yes.
she has a wide lead over all three of you. You're ahead of your
All right,
Republican opponents.
But she's descending.
She
I'm-
is.